being profitable without any direction is like a beautiful multi-million-dollar sailboat without a rudder. You're out there wherever the wind's going to carry you. And it's hard to understand if you've not obtained profitability yet, but it's a problem being profitable. It sounds like an oxymoron. It sounds like this can't be true. How can you have a problem being profitable? But yet you do once you get there. Because you start wondering, okay, well, I've been making this much, this consistently. I do have losing trades, but I come out on top over the course of the week or the month. But where do I go next? What do I do with it? The exercise of just doing it alone is honing your experience and your edge. That goes without saying. Where do you go? What do you aim for? What are you trying to do? What structure should you start applying to your business of trading? See, it's not enough to say, well, I want to make $1 million, because $1 million is not a lot of money. I've already spent $1 million this year, and I don't have much to show for it. But you have to have a goal. You have to have something to aim for, and there has to be a structure behind that. So one of the series I had intended to do once I completed the private mentorship stuff, and we're done now, that I would sit down and kind of give a public blueprint of what I wish I would have been given as a 20-year-old. Just discovering profitability, figuring out that, yes, I could be consistent with bonds. Yes, I could be consistent with the S&P. And I put away all the mega trade. I have to do only those types of setups, where the big run-ups in the marketplace. I was only focusing on that because Larry Williams said that's where I should be focusing. And because I was looking for that all the time, there was all these trades that were occurring daily, weekly, monthly, that I was really not paying attention to or even aware of because I didn't have the skill set at the time. I was profitable, but I was looking for big trades most of the time. So I would do a bond trade or an S&P trade and one contract, and then realize that I'm consistent with one contract. And you've recently saw me this year just do one contract over the S&P and NASDAQ and double the account. That was a real account, and I showed losing positions. I did all kinds of things to handicap myself and still doubled the account. So for some of you, 100% return sounds too lofty, but I can tell you what you've already been given is easy to obtain that. But you have to have the skill set and discipline to adhere to picking your right setups and trying not to trade every single day. I want to have a setup that gives me a consistent framework that goes into the marketplace that even a neophyte that doesn't have a long time behind them of profitability, but just recently found consistency with this model on YouTube, that they can go in and feel comfortable. This is the setup I'm looking for. It makes sense. It's there. I can engage it. And then once it gets to a profit objective, stop, turn the computer off, and go do something else. That's what I have in mind for the new developing, recently profitable student with this mentorship. But you now have a problem, don't you? You want to do more. You want to do more. You want to trade more, just like I started thinking, well, I'm doing one contract. And I was trying to make $1,000 a month to save so I could retire at 40. I was willing to put those 20 years in. But then I realized that, wow, I could do $1,000 a week with no real effort. This is a lot easier than I thought it was. Now, don't let me mislead you, folks. This is the 20-year-old that was getting lucky. And I started thinking to myself, wow, I could do this every week. And then it became, well, I could day trade the bonds. I'll look at the divergence between the 5, 10, and 30 year. And when they're diverging and I have a bias that's bullish, I know I can go in and buy it. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Then I started making $1,000 a day. So I'm 20 years old and I'm looking around at my friends and they're working Like one guy's working at a gas station, another guy, he's working at a meat market where he's cutting up meats and such. And they're doing okay, I guess, for our age bracket. And I'm doing $1,000 a day in less than 45 minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I can do a lot more if I started trading more contracts. Because making $1,000 a month, that really just didn't do it for me. Once I started doing it consistently, I was like, it's too easy. I need more, like anybody else. So I went in and started trading more contracts, and then realized $17,000 a week, that jobs are now obsolete and stupid to me. I mean, why would I want to work when I can do this? So I started trading even more. And have a direction as to where I wanted to go. Now let's contrast that with how I started. November 5th, 1992. Thursday evening at 9 o'clock in my aunt's family room, I cracked open that lame book by Ken Roberts. And that's not to be disrespectful, but I thought that I had figured it all out. That simple little book was going to do it for me. All it did was give me the fire to start doing it. But I had a direction. I had a goal. What was the goal? If I could make $1,000 a month and save that, by the time I'm 40, I'll have $1 million. And honestly, I didn't understand the effects of inflation. I didn't think about all those things. I just wanted to have $1 million, because back then, $1 million, that was really something. $1 million is nothing now. Homes cost that now, and they're not even really worth it. Okay, a lot of people out there on social media saying, I got $1 million house. No, you have a house that's overpriced. Okay, and the home that I purchased that I'm speaking to you in right now, I paid $638,000 for. Is it worth it? No. They're saying I could get $750 for it now. Is it worth it? No. So $1 million is not a lot of money. But in the beginning, when I sat down that Thursday evening at 9 o'clock, at the completion of reading that book, because I read it from cover to cover, I couldn't put it down. Before I went to bed, I had pen and paper out, and I'm calculator crazy, clicking the buttons. Okay, if I do this, if I do that. You know what I'm talking about. You've done it too. You're sitting at your job, you're sitting there bored. Over the weekend, you can't wait to start trading. Okay, if I go in here, I get 10 pips this day. I get 10 more pips over here. And you're nodding your head, you're smiling, you're laughing. You know exactly what it is. You're calculator crazy. Okay, but that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But as soon as you start saying, I want to make millions and millions of dollars in your first year, that's stupid. But what I was doing was I was coming up with a way where if I just did the lowest objective, and say with losing trades, and I eke out a net gain of $250 a week, that's $1,000 a month. That's obviously taking an effect for taxation and commissions. So I was preparing myself to have adversity. I was preparing myself to be imperfect. And I had structure to what I was doing, why I was trading. I'm trying to eke out a net gain after all costs and taxation of $250 a week. Now, there's an average of 4.3 weeks per month. Not every month has just 4 weeks. Some of them have 5. But I did the math simply on 4 weeks and $250 a week. So that would give me my $1,000. And I was going to stick to that. I was going to work a job. I don't care, because when I'm turning 40, I'm not going to be working for the man. I'm not going to be doing those things everybody else does. The structure of me doing that, once I started making money, I abandoned it. In other words, when you have a vision, you have a plan for your future, it's best to obviously write it down. Write it down so that way it's codified and you know this is what you're aiming for. Something strange happens. There's a metamorphosis that occurs when you start making consistent money. Everything goes out the window. It's like casino time. You lose all aspirations for being structured about everything you're doing. You're just saying, well, let's just see what happens if I do this many contracts and I try to hold for this much. Something's changed, not for the better. So over years, looking back and looking at journal entries and the times where I struggled and the times where I had epiphanies where it felt like I was really gaining in my understanding, it was when I was referring back to having structure in the way I was trading. Not in the sense that optimal trade entries or order blocks in their infancy, none of those types of things. I'm talking about the structure of what it is I'm doing as a trader. What's the motivation? What's my goal? They have to be specific, because if you don't have specific goals, you won't know when you're going outside the lines and boundaries of what would lead to realistic results getting to that objective. Would it be reasonable for me to expect a net gain in 1992 of $250? I know some of you are laughing, thinking, $250? This guy's showing $7,000, $10,000 days. Humble beginnings, folks. It's where you're at right now. Don't be afraid of that. Don't be ashamed of it. Everyone starts there, but most people fail right there. They don't ever come out of that. And I can tell you the blueprint to get out of that stuff and get to the next level and hopefully get to where I am now. You'll do things I'm going to talk about in this series and in this woodshed moment. Taking you to the woodshed and correcting your perspective on how you should be thinking you're going to make this money. Okay. You have to have a very, very low hanging fruit objective and then increase that gradually. Very, very small, very, very small, slow, incremental, modular gains. That's how you do it. If you jump and you think, okay, I have a low hanging fruit objective. I hit it. I've been hitting consistently. All right, now I'm just going to go. I want $10,000 a month. You're going to fail because you didn't make that transition from $250 a week to $500 a week to $750 a week to $1,000 a week to $1,500 a week. That's a gradual increase. You get acclimated to the risks, the feeling of putting on that type of trade as it grows exponentially. You don't even know what that feels like. You have no idea what that feels like. And the wins are scary as hell. They're so scary. Yes, I said it right. The wins, not the losses. The losses haven't really stopped you from trading. As long as you had money in your account, you kept taking trades. So that's not a fear factor for you. You're smiling again. That wasn't a deterrent for you to stop trading. As long as you had money in there. Oh, I lost. Okay, well, I'm getting pissed off now. I'm going to go in there for more. And they're going to pay me with interest. Yeah. And the interest was paid that you paid it. Now you're in greater drawdown or you're blowing your account like I did dozens of times over my career. There's no shame in that. You have to learn from those things, but you are going to be doing things at a slower pace. That's how you make ends meet. Things are hard. The markets are hard right now. I've said this throughout this year, and mentorship knows this as well. Things just are not as clean as they usually are. And it's not surprising, but it's not impossible. Obviously, you've seen that. So you have to pick your shots. You have to know what you're doing, why you're doing it, when you're doing it, and when to avoid it. That's part of your trading plan, but doing as part of your growth plan to make ends meet. Where are you going to start? Where's your low-hanging fruit threshold? What are you aiming for? Well, one of the things I like to teach is, and where did I get the $1,000? I don't have a specific reason for 1,000. I just felt that $1,000 to me at that time was a lot of money. And if I could save it every single month, nobody in my family was saving $1,000 and they were working. So I'm thinking, I'm working as a vendor, filling up candy machines and servicing soda and snack and cold food machines and coffee machines. If I can save $1,000 a month, I'm doing better than everybody else. And they can laugh at me that I'm making less than $300 a week, but I'm saving $1,000 a month. That's how I looked at it. So most people were looking at me when I would tell them what I was trying to do. I was going to learn how to trade and make money in the markets, the commodity markets at that. And they would crinkle their nose up at me and say, dude, are you serious? Like, you're going to lose your ass in that. You're going to lose your shirt. There's no way you're going to find profitability. People go broke and kill themselves. And that's true. And honestly, by the grace of God, I didn't do those things that would have led to those types of decisions. Not that I would have ever harmed myself, but I've known people that these markets have caused them to check out. And it's sad because they put too much stress on themselves in the beginning. See, that's what educators do wrong. And admittedly, when I first started teaching way before I should have in 1996, I didn't incorporate this in my teachings. I was teaching go for broke, get rich or die trying, that type of mentality, everything all in. Without being vulgar, I almost went there. I did not incorporate what I was learning at the time, which was small little incremental shifts in growth, going higher and higher gradually. And when I would get the big run-ups in my equity as a new trader, admittedly, I couldn't tolerate that excitement, that overzealous feeling of, I just made more money than my entire family collectively in a year, just this week. That's too much for a young man, especially from where I came from. Like, it's unfathomable. It's a scary, overwhelming, intimidating feeling. And the only way I could make myself believe that it was real was I had to do it again right away. Otherwise, it was luck. And sometimes I would get lucky again. But eventually, pushing my luck and trying to do better than the last 2 trades, 3 trades, more risk, no stop. It's going to go in my favor because the last 3 did, over leveraged. And then the account gets blown. So what I discovered and how to prevent that was I came up with a way, like I first started. I had realistic, absolutely easy objectives. Now think about this. I'm the guy that's already proven I've got millions of dollars and I've made millions of dollars and I can trade really very well. And I'm consistent. I'm the guy that's sitting down with you right now telling you, you should be aiming for about $250 a week. And it's laughable to some of you right now. I know, I'm not talking to you, but there's a lot of folks that have not found consistency yet. They just breached that now I can be profitable, but you just arrived. You just got there. And this is where everybody without discipline blows up. They self-destruct. It's not worth mentioning the individuals that open up their account with live funds and just go right out and dust it and never see profitability. Those individuals are not the topic here because they're going to always be there. But my target audience here is the individuals that have gone through the 2022 mentorship. They've done the work, they've done the back testing, they've seen that it is a real pattern. It really repeats, it's very precise, and it's consistent. But now you've been trading it and you're consistently finding it. Now you dabbled with live funds and you did that decision on your own. I didn't tell you to do that. What is the advice that I would give you if I could go back in time? What would I be telling myself? It would be, do what you first started with. Go in there with a very easy objective. Now, some of you are already being critical and thinking, dude, $250 isn't going to do anything. Like, that's just literally, well, gas for 1 tank a week now, if you're getting 1 tank. And maybe a week's worth of groceries if you're single with no children. I don't know. I mean, I know it costs me a lot of money to put food in the house for my boys because they're growing and it's not easy. It's not cheap. But with ends, this series, I'm trying to cultivate this mindset as these new breed of traders that I've created here in 2022. How you can go out there and grab a hold of consistency and longevity. And it's the secret that I found, which I didn't place too much emphasis on in the beginning. I quickly abandoned it, and it caused me to go into. But if you go in and you start thinking to yourself, okay, if I can make $250 a week consistently, and I stop there, and I do that consistently, that's $1,000 a month. Now, you all want to leave your job. Some of you do, oh, I love my job. I really don't want to. You want to leave your job. Don't lie to me and don't lie to yourself. If you could sit home or sit on a beach somewhere knowing that you only put in 90-minute workday taking a trade that you've basically stalked for a couple days and you made more than your job would have paid you for that month. Nobody wants to stay working in that environment. Okay, forget about it. You're not gonna convince me, and you're not gonna convince anybody else that you love your job so much that you want to give your personal time and freedom and be away from your family to be else rich. Okay, say that bullshit. Nobody believes that. So you all want that. That's why we're here. That's why we're trading, because we want to leave the rat race. And guess what? That's commendable, because there's a lot of people that say, you know what, it's too hard. I'm just going to suck it up. And they medicate themselves with alcohol and drugs and extracurricular things in their marriages and their relationships. That's a destructive path. As if you just simply say, hey, I have to have a job right now, but I don't have to have a job the rest of my life. I don't have to have that. That's a decision you're making. And that is still in your control, even with the things that are in play right now. Inflation, the struggles with, employment, finding, affordability with everything, housing, cars, all that stuff. I'm going to tackle all that stuff in this series. I'm making a practical trading series. See, it's not enough to simply say, ABC 1, 2, 3, here's the system, here's the setup, and go in and trade it and make money. That's not enough. It's too myopic. You're giving a child a loaded gun. That's never good, because harm is going to come. It's inevitable. So I know I've given you a 50 caliber Barrett and you don't even realize it yet. But if you understand where you're going with it, what are you going to do with it, you'll see how easy it is to build wealth. Wealth doesn't happen right away. Now, your goal should be to work towards being rich. Rich is not wealthy. Wealthy is where the money's making money for you. Rich is where you don't need to work to make your bills. There's a difference there. So what I have thought about, and I'm using my son Caleb as a guinea pig, things are very, very expensive right now. And my oldest son that lives with me, he's about to get his driver's license and he wants a Camaro. Now, no sound mind, sober-minded parent would buy their teenage boy a Camaro as their first car. I know that. I wanted to do that. But my wife said, that's not right. So I told him, I said, well, I will tell Caleb to give you his car, which I bought for him too. Now, before you get in there and start saying, oh, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that, I think every dad should give their boy their first car. It doesn't have to be the best car, but I needed that help when I was younger and I got it. So I'm doing it for them. But their tastes in cars obviously are much more expensive now without needing to be high-end cars. So case in point, I told Caleb, I said, look, part of your development is you're going to give up the car that I got you. And you're going to give that car as a starter car to your brother. And I'm going to give you a new Toyota Tacoma truck. So that was the plan a week and a half ago, I think it was. And I bought it the same day I bought my own truck. So I told him, I said, this is the truck I think you should have. It's a decent one, 6-cylinder. It's a Toyota. You can put 1 million miles on this thing. It'll drive forever. Okay. He liked it. So I went and I bought it. Now, Toyota Tacoma trucks. Now, some of you are already wanting to turn it off or turn off the space, but that's okay. You'll want to come back to these types of lessons once you lose your money. That truck cost me $55,000, and that's with them taking some off. Yeah. So I do a lot of deals with Jones Junction. I've spent about $600,000 just in 2 years buying cars from them. Now, I have a lot of volume and I have a lot of, leverage when I go and I say, this is what I'm willing to pay. I know you're trying to make money, but this is what I'm willing to pay. They only came down $3,000 off of that price of that Tacoma. Why? Because they had somebody in there ready to buy it too. But they were giving it to me. It may not be the best business practice to talk about openly, but because I do a lot of business with them, they were like, look, if you pay this, we'll sell it to you. But they're out there waiting to talk to us about that too. So I scooped it up and bought it. Hate me. But he has that pickup truck sitting on my drive pad. He can't have it yet because this is all part of this series. I told him, I said, you have to leave the job you're working at, because where he works at, they've messed his car up, which is another reason why my oldest son that's living with me is getting that car. It's already dinged up a little bit, not because of Caleb, but because of the people that he worked with that was jealous of what he drove. And he doesn't drive a very nice car. It's a Nissan. It's not that big of a deal. But where he lives and where he works, that is a crime-ridden area. And it's been meant for him to be inspired to want to leave that, do better. And if he gets this truck and he takes it down there to that job, it'll be ruined. So I told him, I said, you need to get away from that job, come up here, and the money you're making, you need to get yourself a townhouse or condo or whatever, and start living up here and get a job up here. So once he has that, then he can have that truck. So I bought the truck, but I put it in his name. I have not done any payments in a long time, but because he doesn't have any credit, I want him to establish credit. So I did a co-signing because he doesn't have any credit. He's too young. So he's now got a $900 a month bill. That's an end that he now has to meet. So what does he got to do? That $1,000 plan. So in his trades, he has to find a way to always be able to net enough money to cover that car note. It keeps him from doing what? Rolling the dice to do big trades, to do one more 5-point move. Now, some of you might be thinking, that's diabolical. You're an evil father. But my children didn't learn this because they watched me. They weren't even inspired. So I have to put them in situations where they have, otherwise they're going to be left to doing these types of jobs the rest of their life, because I'm not going to just lay money in their lap. I'm not doing that. So he's in a situation now that he has to make that work. And if he doesn't, he messes up my credit, which, let's be honest, I wouldn't let that happen, but it would if the payments didn't be kept up. And he's building his own credit. So he has a vested interest in seeing that it's done right. His insurance only went up, I don't think, maybe $40 a month. I think it was. Something. It was less than $50. Let's call it that. So he went from not having a car note to now having basically $1,000 a month. That's not counting gas, because I'm sure it'll probably spend a little bit more in fuel. But if he works close to where I live, and he works close to, which is not determined yet because we don't know what we're going to decide on. I don't know if a condo is the right thing for him, and I don't know if he's going to choose a townhouse or a single family. But his trading has to meet those needs because daddy's not paying for it. So I'm forcing him out of the nest into the real world. So you had a taste of what it's like to make money. You had a taste of seeing it in your account. But now what do you do with it? You have to be structured about what it is you're doing with it. So it helps him and anybody else that would apply this, because it did it well. I didn't have a car note that was $1,000. I had a bill to myself. My first bill every month was $1,000 has to go into my savings account at Nations Bank. That's where I was doing business. So all of my focus was making money to guarantee that I had that $1,000 a month to pay me first. Then I had a car payment. Then I had insurance. Then I had gym memberships and whatever things I was doing that were extracurricular, which at the beginning my trading wasn't much. Anytime I'd go out to eat with my friends, that kick around money, that pocket change, that would be after I paid my bills. And the first bill I paid myself was the $1,000 a month. So I lived on that principle that I paid myself first, and then everything else, whatever I had left, I lived on that. So I'm forcing my son into that. And I'm telling you as my students to do that same thing. So you might be laughing and thinking, man, I can't, $1,000 ain't gonna do nothing for me. Oh, really? Really? Okay, let's say you have a $2,500 a month mortgage. And that's pretty reasonable considering most houses are around $350,000. That's like the median price right now in the US. With maybe utilities and your mortgage, $2,500 is about there. What happens if you have $1,000 every month that goes towards that? How much of an ease on your stress and nerves would that bring you? I can tell you that would be a very big weight, and you're not getting everything covered, but you're doing the right thing. That's making ends meet. And then doing that month after month, slowly growing it more. So then you're trying to make $1,250 a month, and then $1,500 a month, $1,750, $2,000 a month. What that does, it allows you to grow with a principle-oriented approach that you have to make this work with a sober, low-hanging fruit objective and target. You're not out there just throwing the dice and say, okay, let's see what I can get. What's the best that can happen in this situation? That's a laboratory experiment that's guaranteed to blow up in your face. Versus, I don't need to do very much to make $250 a week. Even in Forex, as stagnant as those pairs are right now, you can still eke out $250 a week. It's not a big deal. It's easy. If you're trading micros in the S&P and NASDAQ, the futures market, not the $50 per point for ES, but the $5 per point, or not point, per point. That would still be possible to get that $250. You're going to work, but you can get it. But you want to have a approach that allows you to do the very least and let the compounding over time and the new equity increases, let that do the heavy lifting. That's what I did. That's the real secret to it all. Doing something very small, cookie cutter approach. When I was on baby pips, okay, what did I preach? If you were with me back then, 2010, what was I teaching? Find one good setup, 25 pips a week. Now you can get 5 pips a day. If you're ultra new and you're scared to get into a trade and hold it to the completion, is there something wrong with going into a trade and getting out after 5 pips? No, not if you're new, because you're going to be scared. You're going to be terrified it's going to turn against you, and it might turn against you. But if it moves 5 pips in your favor and you're brand new and you cover and you get out, you gave yourself that cookie. And then you say, okay, I'm aiming for 25 pips, but I got out this entire week, every single day, and I got out with 5 pips of movement. It went to my target, or it came back and stopped me out. Who cares? But 5 pips it gave me, and I got it when it offered it to me. I closed it. I did it every day, so now I got my 25 pips. Is there anything wrong with that? No. Not if you're a brand new trader? Nope, absolutely not. And then the next week you go in and say, okay, I'm going to try to hold on and see if I can get to that 8 pips or 10 pips of the 25 I'm getting. And then when you get it, even though it looks like it's going in your favor to your target, you close it at 10. Just do that. What you're doing is you're giving yourself experience. It's unrealistic for any educator, me included, to sit down and say, okay, here's what you do, here's how you learn how to trade, and then go in there and hold it for your target or stop. And don't ever take any partial or early exits. That is stupid. You're stunting their growth. The best learning I had was gradually going into making money. I had flash in the pan wins. I ran up accounts real fast, and real fast, blew them out. So I didn't understand the weight of making money like that, because it's very stressful and it's addictive. Like, I've never done cocaine. I've never done heroin. I've never done any kind of hard narcotics, and I've never been drunk in my life. But I can tell you, I've been high on the markets, and that is a rush that is absolutely phenomenal. Like, it is nuts. Once you feel it, you'll know what it means to know what it feels like to be high on the market, because you feel invincible. You feel like you're the cock of the walk. There ain't nobody that's better than you. Nobody can touch you. Don't even talk to me. Don't even speak to me. Like, you're beneath me. That's what happened to me. I became a jerk, a prick. But that's the worst route to take. If I would have stuck with my making ends meet approach, $250 a week, break it down modularly. Let's say your goal isn't $1,000. Say it's the full $2,500 a month for your mortgage. Not that you're depending on making that to pay your mortgage, but what you're trying to do is aim for some end you have to meet every month. Start with trying to just get half of it, or try to meet your lowest. Maybe it's a cable, maybe it's a credit card bill, and it may not even be $100. But go into your trading with that mindset. And I promise you, it seems silly. It seems like, what? I'm in this to do big money, but you can't do big money unless you're consistently managing little money. Little bit of management on a little bit of money is going to teach you everything you need to know how to do large money over time. Because that little bit of money, if you keep doing it correctly, what does it become? More money. That more money has a growth curve in terms of, okay, I'm used to trading 1 micro on ES, and it's $5 per point. Now I'm at the point where I can trade 2 micros and then 3 micros. And at some point you start trading 1 mini. So now you have $50 per handle, $12.50 per tick. That feels a little bit different first time you do it. If you're not used to seeing that, it's a little intimidating, and you start thinking, that's just too much. And I've watched guys on YouTube get in there and trade on a 1-minute chart, and just about every single 1-minute candle, they're trying to do something, and it's moving around. Such a small little fluctuation, but they're like, I gotta get out. Okay, it's going against me. What are they trading? I don't think they know. So you have to know what you're doing. That's why I taught my son to just go after 5 handles. 5 handles, that's it. If he gets it in the morning, he doesn't have to do it in the afternoon. If he doesn't get it in the morning, he goes in looking for it in the afternoon. If he has a losing trade in the afternoon, it doesn't take a trade. He eats it. If he takes a trade in the morning and he gets the 5 handles, he has the choice to go in the afternoon, but I tell him by the model, don't do it. Trade the next trading day and look for that setup again. There's lots of 5 handle moves all day long. There's lots of them. There's a plethora of them. So what is that? That's a low hanging fruit objective. It's real easy to find 5 handles every single trading day. Even in a choppy market, 5 handles can be had. Now, what does 5 handles mean to you? Well, it's going to mean different things to each one of us. To me, it's going to mean a whole lot. To someone like my son, it could mean $1,250. So $1,250, if you just do that one time, just once a week, that's pretty good for not even being. Now, I don't want him to stop there. Obviously, as his father and as inner circle trader, ICT, I want my son to be a freak. Like, I want him to be way beyond me. And he has the advantage of youth. And I have all the advantage of the wisdom. And I can tell him how to get there, but he has to do these things to do it. You can't just, well, I'm going to go in there and just go all in. It's not Texas Hold'em. It's trading for a living. And you're trying to do one of two things: build wealth or make ends meet. In the beginning, you can't build wealth. You have to make ends meet. That means you have to consistently do things that make sense to erase the debts that you have to pay out every single month. Those debts, you're going to have them the rest of your life. I'm rich and I still have to pay utility bills. I still have to pay all these little things that add up. Amazon Prime, HBO Max. Like, I got everything. There isn't a channel or a service out there that my wife or kids don't have. And I don't watch TV, but I have to pay for that. It's a bill. Okay. I could sit down and say, you don't need all this stuff, but I don't care. It's a write-off. All these things are a write-off. So I use that to my benefit. That's the justification I give to myself. But my family, they're spoiled. They don't need to have all these things, but they have them because we can afford to have them. You may not afford them right now, but you can be in a position where it won't matter to you either. But you can't jump to that. Like, I was trying to jump as a 20-year-old thinking, wow, I can make a lot of money in a very short period of time. And I'm only doing it with one contract. So I jumped to doing 3 and 5 and 10 contracts of bonds in the S&P. And yes, when I was right, man, it was really nice. But when it was going against me, it paralyzed me in fear. It scared the living hell out of me, because it's fun and it's exhilarating, and you have that deer in headlights paralysis when it's running off in profit, and you don't have a target. You don't know where it's going. I want to go in and see how far it'll go up. And you get stuck looking at the chart, and it's just going, and you don't know when to get out. And I would overstay my welcome. And then I think, oh, okay, well, it's just retracing down to this level. This old high is going to find some support because it's a floor now, because the ceiling's been broken. Now it's going to support wrong, kept going lower, and I'd find some other old high and draw a line across my chart and expect it to be support, and it wouldn't. And I wouldn't get out of the trade because I had no structure in what it is I was doing. I was like that $1 million sailboat out there with no rudder. Wherever the wind's going to carry me, as long as I'm in the marketplace, what was happening to me. And I had fortunes going in and out of my account all the time, but no idea where to pull the plug. Whereas if I just simply would have said, you know what? I want to make $1,000 a month, right? Okay. What happens if I just get that for the day and just stop on 20 contracts? Yeah. $20,000 a day. It's hard to stop though, because if you can see the potential to make 50, you're going to do what? You're going to hold for 50. And as a young man with no idea what the hell he was doing, just rolling the dice, that's what I was doing. And it was worse when I started inviting people to see me doing it. And I would get a high off of being right in front of everybody. And I'd be like, yeah, look at that. See, you don't know who I am. I'm the guy that's going to do this in front of you every single day. Ha ha, look at this. Strength. And then when it was bad, I wanted to crawl under a rock. It was too much. My ego couldn't allow for that because I didn't build in those expectations in performance. So you won't have all those problems if you use low-hanging approaches to make your ends meet. So you start gradually from a very small, low-hanging fruit objective and make it so insignificant in terms of money that it won't be hard for you. And you gradually build that up.